Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast. Today, I am introducing you to a mod that I have not yet shown on this channel, so this is very exciting. This is a mod for Forged Alliance, which is known as Loud Mod. Now, Loud Mod is different from any other mod or form of TA I have casted on this channel, because this mod in particular is designed for PvE. It is designed completely around players, so getting with you or a group of buddies and facing off against one of the most challenging, devious, and efficient AIs that has ever been designed. It's certainly that's ever been designed for Total Annihilation games, but for RTS in general. Guys, this AI is absolutely brutal. It's human-like in its behaviors. It's extremely clever. It has all kinds of strategies that will catch you off guard. And as the game progresses, as the game continues to carry on into the later stages, the AI simply becomes more and more overwhelming with its strategies until the players are simply crushed under the weight of its strength and power. If you are a fan of co-op, if you love playing co-op with your friends in an RTS, this is one of the best experiences you can have, not just with a TA game, but any RTS. This is so much fun to play with your friends. This AI will, regardless of your skill level, even if you're a TA veteran or a Forged Alliance veteran, this AI will absolutely give you an unbelievable challenge. And also, one of the cool things about this mod is that you can fine-tune the AI's difficulty to be perfect for whatever your party is. So if you have a group of veteran players, you can make the AI more challenging. Or if you're with a group of beginners, you can make it less challenging, and you can fine-tune it to pretty much any difficulty you want, because it's very customizable in that way. So, guys, I'm very excited to show you this game. I'm really excited to show you just the strength of this AI, how much fun of a co-op experience this can be playing this mod. It is really designed around that concept, or around that theme of co-op. And having an AI that is so challenging and creative and difficult to deal with, that you can just the replayability is essentially endless for this particular mod. So, guys, I'm super excited to show you this and get into it and explain everything that's going on here. Just to give you a little background about the scenario that we're walking into. This is a 2v2, so I am playing with this is me, Wingflier here, the purple Cybrant commander, and this actually is my cousin. He is playing the white UEF commander. Here in the top left, we have one of the loud AIs, Zoe, who has started with Aeon. And here in the top right, we have Seth Eovosh, the yellow Seraphim commander, another one of the loud AI. And guys, I'm excited to show you just how challenging and unbelievable this experience can be when you're playing with friends. Another thing about this engine, the Loud developers have gone through a lot of trouble of revamping and redesigning and uncluttering the Forged Alliance engine so that you can have thousands and thousands of units on the screen with no lag at all. This mod plays extremely well, even if you're, even if you have a ton of units or many players. So this mod's great for huge 4v4 or 5v5 or 6v6, whatever battles, right? because it is so optimized. The engine has been so optimized in this mod to facilitate massive battles. But I'll try to explain throughout this match what was going on, what our strategy was, what my cousin and I, his name is Logan, so what his strategy, mine was, and what the AI strategy was basically as well, just to give you an idea of what's going on and how challenging this was and how interesting it was as a match in general. So guys, trust me, if this is your kind of thing, co-op with friends, or people playing against an extremely difficult AI that you can tune to almost any difficulty you want, I highly recommend this. So here at the beginning, let me just slow it down a little bit so I can explain a little bit about what's going on. I started here at this bottom left corner, and what I did was I built an air factory almost right away. I built some transports, and I moved some engineers onto these two little side islands. So there's an island at the top and at the bottom left. The reason for that is that with this loud AI, you simply cannot let it get control of the whole map. This AI is extremely good at macro. It's extremely good at upgrading its economy efficiently, and it's going to do so better than pretty much any human player can, okay? So you cannot let the AI get control of the whole map. You're pretty much guaranteed to lose if that happens. Here in the middle, I send my commander to take a bit of an engagement. Now, one thing I will say is that the commanders in Loud are very powerful. It's not like commanders in say Escalation or Bar. Commanders in this mod are kind of like armies unto themselves, and you definitely can use them for that purpose. So I'm absolutely taking advantage of the fact that my commander is kind of OP at the start, and putting a lot of pressure on the AI. The AI does send aggression usually from an early part of the game, and the aggression simply ramps up over the course of the experience. So using your commander early on as a bludgeoning tool to take out their endless waves of guys, of units, is absolutely a viable strategy. But as I was saying earlier, you really have to prevent the AI from expanding too much over the map. Like, you want to reduce the amount of metal or mass extractors that they can have access to, because each mass extractor for them will ultimately increase the amount of production power and resources and such quite dramatically. So you want to make sure you try to take control of the map as much as you can. Don't let the AI just freely expand. You will get punished. You will lose very quickly if you do that. So that is our plan early on, is to try to stop the aggression. As you can see, they have all these metal spots right here, these 6, and I'm going to try to take those out as well. Now, so part of the reason I'm taking the side islands here with just putting some factories down is, there's like 4 or 5 metal spots on these side islands, and additionally there's this this ramp that is they can put metal extractors on as well. So I want to kind of stop that. But as you can see, the AI is already building a lot of air. They have quite a few bombers. These are bombers for the Seraphim. And let's see. Gumption, he is going for T2 early on, so he's trying to get to Tech 2 as quickly as possible and help me out in the middle. So that was his strategy, and we'll have to see how that goes. Let me go ahead and speed up the game now that I've kind of explained what's going on here at the beginning. There is a bombing run coming in here from yellow, and 2 bombing runs actually. They're working pretty well together to do those bombing runs. So that is pretty efficient, and they will end up killing most of my force Now what I'm doing is upgrading my commander here. The commander, as I've mentioned, this is true in any Forged Alliance game, can be upgraded to be extremely potent in battle, to be a unbelievably efficient combatant. Like I said, an army unto themselves. So what I'm going to do is upgrade my commander a few times, give him the tools he needs to get out there. And then I'm going to, as I said, try to kill off all these metal, because already the AI is upgrading their mass extractors to T2. Now, and FAF, just like, or in Loud, just like you would see like an Escalation or any other mod or any other form of TA, you can upgrade your metal extractors, but in this game you do it a little differently. You don't have to build a unit to do it. You can just upgrade them through the building itself. My commander is now upgraded and entering into the fray. As you can see, he's quite OP. As I will be dealing with those units quite effectively, but Yellow with one of the first drops of the game, and he drops all these hover tanks right here, but yeah, my commander was there, so that doesn't accomplish too much. Now, one thing that's really interesting about this AI that makes it so scary to play against is that it builds a lot of dropships, and it will take these dropships and it will drop armies of units into your weak spots. So the AI does not cheat. Okay, that's important to know. It uses these scouts. So in other words, it has to scout your base just like you have to scout its base. It has fog of war. It can't see the map. It can't see the whole map, you know. So in order to know like where your base is, it has to scout. It has to get vision of your buildings and get an idea of what's going on. There was a little drop here that we just saw, and this is mostly T1 stuff, so it shouldn't be too big of a problem. But as I was saying, this AI does have to scout, and so you'll see these scouts all over the place. If you see these kind of triangles with radars on it, those are air scouts, and it is constantly scouting our bases to find weak points. The AI will identify weak points, and once it has identified those weak points, it will then begin to drop units at the vulnerable parts of your base. It will take dropships, fill them with entire armies or squads of units, and it will drop those units at the weak points, right? And that's not cheating, right? You can do that too. I mean, you could fill dropships full of units and drop them in the enemy's base. I mean, that's something you can do, like in Escalation or FAF or any other mod, right? But like the AI is just extremely efficient at doing it, and that's part of what makes it so so terrifying as the game progresses, because it will identify your weak spots and it will find those points of vulnerability, and it will then drop armies into your weak spots, and it's hard to defend the whole map. Here we go, my commander getting back into the action here. But here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Green with a drop here. Two transports full of stuff. And let's see what he does with this. I don't quite remember where he drops all this. Yeah, my main base doesn't have much defense, right? As I see this drop coming, I hastily panic and throw up some defenses as quickly as possible, right? Because I've played many games against this AI. One good drop can kill you, right? Like I've got a lot of resources here. These are basically fusions. If he kills these, my economy falls way behind, and that could absolutely devastate me. But I don't have any defense over here. The AI knows that, or it has scouted that. So it will drop this army, and it will then begin attacking my power generators in my air factory. So I am sending some units over to stop it, but yeah, that is the first big drop of the game, and already you can see how devastating that will be. As a player, it's very hard to deal with because it's hard to defend everything. Another drop coming. Again, we'll have to try to keep an eye on that, see where it goes, but yeah. And already you can see, just because, like I said, the AI is so good at managing their economy, the yellow AI on 341 or 315 mass per second, and Gumption and I are only on 100, so it is already way ahead of us economically. And I'm doing my best now to take out its mass extractors, to try to get the economy back into something more, you know, even than what it is right now. You don't want the AI to be that far ahead of you in eco, because it will overwhelm you with stuff. It will continue to drop on you until you are simply dead. So yeah, I've got to get this under control. I've got to, like I said, take out these mass extractors, prevent the AI from getting too much of an advantage. But as I say that, green comes in with a lot of gunships, and I just happen to move my air defense off at the wrong time. My commander is by himself, and now I'm in a lot of trouble. If I lose my commander, I die here. And my commander is quite beefy, but I wasn't paying attention right here. And, he is now being swarmed by gunships and bombers. And this was really bad. I'm panicking, you know, I'm pulling units up to my commander as quickly as possible. I've got some shields I can protect him with. I've got some anti-air in here. But yeah, I'm pulling all my units to defend him right now because, yeah, this was almost bad. I definitely could have simply lost the game right here, but I do have some anti-air in here, in this army. So, in the end, I do survive that. But green with some more drops, bringing some more dropships into the fray here. And, just dropping them right in the middle of the battle. Looks like, yeah. What a way to reinforce. He's still got some gunships here as well. So, guys, as you can see with the AI, the pressure is relentless. Like, they will keep on you. It is, the cool thing about this mod is it's an endless battle. I mean, it's kind of like a non-stop combat, almost from beginning to end, that it's just a relentless pressure from the AI, and you have to push back. Like, you have to keep up with it. If you kind of fall back for a moment, then it'll just take over the map. So it's this constant back and forth with the AI to try to assert map dominance. And I did end up taking out all the metal extractors here, so that will hurt its economy. But again, I'm still trying to hold these side islands and doing a pretty good job. As you can see, you know, here in the middle, I've got quite a considerable force of, let's see, hoplites are kind of like dominators from escalation, and vipers are like merles. And what else do I have? Rhinos are kind of like reapers. So, and then I have these mobile shield generators, which will increase the longevity of my army quite considerably. But green with another drop, again, they are relentless. And just looking at my base here, zoom out. I do have some defense now. I've got 2 point defense turrets. These are like Orions, something to think of them as, or like Sentinels. And I've got some Rhinos here, which again are kind of like Reapers from Bar or Escalation. But Green knows where our defenses are, not because he not because he's cheating, because he scouted us. I mean, he sent scouts over. He found the most efficient path and most vulnerable spot, and then does a drop to try to inflict some economic damage here. So yeah, Gumption and I scrambling to defend this as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, the battle continuing to rage for mid. My commander is regenerating I think about 100 health per second. So he has regen most of that health back. And you might be saying like, wow, with a commander so OP, like, how is this even fair? I mean, you know, your commander just seems busted. And that's true to some degree in this mod. I mean, your commander is unbelievably powerful, but you can't win with it. I mean, the funny thing about that is, like, yes, it's strong, and it's very effective, but if I were to just walk into the enemy base with my commander right now, I would just die, right? He's got enough defenses and stuff here, and he's got his own commander, that it wouldn't win me the game. So, like, yes, the commander is an unbelievably powerful unit. It's kind of like an army unto itself, but, like, that will not win you the game. It is simply an asset. It is simply a tool that you can use as a player to get an advantage, but it's not as overpowered as it might seem, just simply because of the fact that, well, for one thing, if you lose it, you lose the game. So it's very risky to use your commander the way I'm using it here, as a as a frontline combat unit. If he dies here, it's over for me. Now, the only exception is you can build sub-commanders, which are kind of like mini-commanders. If you have one of those, when the commander dies, you will survive, but still losing your commander is a huge blow. You want to keep your commander alive at all costs, if you can. So, but let's go ahead and look back at... yeah, so Gumption's using his commander as a builder, right? He's not using it in combat at all. He's keeping it in his base. He's now upgrading his factory to T3. And, yeah. But right now, I do have the map. I mean, I do have a superior force here in the middle. And the AI is coming in with some gunships. But I have quite a bit of air defense in the mix there. And my commander is off on his own again. But yeah, ultimately, I do have the superior force. Unfortunately, like, if you just look at the stats here at the top right, the AI is now on... The green AI is on about 400 metal per second, and the yellow one is on 440. And I'm only on 180, and Gumption, or whatever. I mean... We're like around 150, so it's not really, the AI is way ahead, like, in terms of eco, and that usually is the case in this mod because the AI is so efficient at macro. You will struggle to keep up, so that is why I've made such an effort to, like, even though it only really has this part of the map, like its starting area. You can see how much further ahead it is. It's like got triple our economy right now. Imagine if I had just let it take the whole map. Like, this game would already be over. It would already be overwhelming us so much with constant drops and airstrikes and raids that we would lose. So, like, even if you do fight for the map, you are still going to struggle to keep up with it economically. But again, even though it's ahead economically, like, it doesn't cheat, right? Like, it's just very good at macro. It's very good at upgrading. It's utilizing the strength of an AI that, like, it can perfectly balance its its mass and energy to upgrade as efficiently as possible in a way that a human being cannot, and that's just an advantage that AI has. And this mod is designed to play to the strengths of the AI like that. You know, you as the human obviously have greater strategic and tactical capability, as in like you know, you're going to use your forces more efficiently and more effectively throughout the game, but you'll never be able to manage an economy as efficiently as the AI, because it just like it can perfectly utilize its resources in such a way that nothing is ever wasted. So again, I'm just kind of massing up my forces in the middle. I'm also attempting to hold on to these side bases because, as I've mentioned several times before, I don't want to let the AI get a hold of those. And I haven't talked too much about the units in this game, but Gumption has sent me some 3 battle stations here. The battle station is a UEF T3 unit that is basically, I don't really know how to describe it. It's kind of like an army unto it's almost like tier 3.5, so it's not quite an experimental, but it's almost that, right? It's like, I'm trying to think of something equivalent, like maybe like the Thor in the last bar game we watched, or in Escalation. What would be one of the was it like a Cerberus? Anyways, one of the powerful T3 tanks. Maybe like not quite as, it's more powerful than the Centurion. These have personal shields, and they have all kinds of weapons on them. You can kind of see, it's a little difficult to see, but they have these main cannons on the top. It's like a railgun. Then they have on the sides here these little mini guns. They've got rocket launchers. So these things are ridiculously strong, and especially at the early T3 phase, they absolutely crush any kind of, especially T2, T1 and T2 threat. But yeah, let's go ahead and speed it up, because now that I have these battle stations in my army, this fight is going to become a lot more favored for me. The AI is not on T3 yet, so go ahead and close that for a second. Here you can see these battle stations in action. Absolutely crushing. Again, my force is very superior at this particular moment, and I just roll through what he has there. He brings in some gunships to try and stop me, but I do have a lot of air defense. Now, I did pull my commander back here because I don't, if I'm going to go for a base assault, I don't want to have my commander there in case he dies. Oh, these things are amphibious too. They kind of do everything. But yeah, I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. So here I go for an attack on Green's main base here. So as you can see, his commander is here, and he kind of realizes that there's too much, but I begin to chase him, right, because I realize that if I can kill his commander, that will be absolutely huge. killing Green's commander early on. It won't take out his whole base because he does have some sub commanders, but it will put him pretty far behind. And the AI doing everything they can to stop me, sending in some gunships here. But I ruthlessly am chasing this commander. I've got to kill him. It would just be so big if I did, and he's getting low. As you can see, there's a mad dash to chase him. But he's so tanky. He's so hard to kill, as you can see. It's taken a lot, but I will ultimately take his commander out. And the problem is that taking out his commander just wiped out my whole army. So that was good. I mean, that was a huge win for me, like just in terms of punishing the AI. But he still has these support commanders, so he will not lose. If I had killed these support commanders, his whole base Green would be out of the game. His whole base would be gone. He only had 2 support commanders. One of them was almost dead. So if I had known that at the time, I probably would have sent some force to kill these 2 support commanders. If I had done that, I would have just wiped Green out here. But I didn't have enough scouting to know that. I maybe could have scouted better and just wiped Green out right there instead of just killing his commander. But killing his commander was big, so like I'm not gonna say that wasn't a huge accomplishment, but I could have done a lot more. I didn't realize that he only had these 2 support commanders, and I think I could have easily killed them. But in the end, I end up losing my whole army to the commander explosion. Now, when the support commanders died, they don't really have a nuke explosion like that. So I probably should have killed these first, so that I didn't lose my whole army, and then kill his commander. He does have a 3rd support commander here, but I think he just built that. These quantum gateways build the support commanders. So the support commander is kind of like what you would think. It's like a commander in almost every way. It can be upgraded like a commander. It can build things like a commander. It's really strong in combat, but it's not quite as strong. I mean, it's not nearly as strong as an actual commander, but they are the next best thing, I guess you can say. And they're a neat unit because you can use them either as a support to just upgrade your eco and make your base, or you can use them as combat units. But unfortunately, having lost my whole army there, I was dominating the middle earlier, but now it's a lot more even now. It's a lot closer. After I lost my whole army, rebuilding an army like that is very expensive. And Green doing a bit of a push here on Gumption's base, but I'm going to send some loyalists to take care of that. And these loyalists are T3. They will easily clean up that army, as you can see. So that wasn't too big of a problem, but yeah, the problem is Green has done a drop here onto this left base, and I'm now going to lose it. I don't have much left in this area, and same thing here on the top east island. Yellow with this mobile artillery. It's just going to shell me from afar. And I don't have enough units here to really stop this force. It's a far superior force. This is mostly T3 stuff. So the AI will basically take me out on both islands simultaneously with a combination of drops and just pushes. And yeah, that base will go down. So losing control of the side islands here is a pretty big loss, or a pretty big blow, because it hurts me economically, and then they can take over those islands too. But what you see here happening now is that the AI has air control. White and I haven't even really built air much at all this game, so the AI has complete aerial dominance. And That will make it hard to do another push on Green's base. Simply because once the AI has air control, they can do bombing runs. They can do, they can build experimentals. They can build gunships. It makes it hard to push into when the AI has air dominance like that. But here, let me slow it down. Here's the Dervish. This is the Cybran T3 Advanced Amphibious Battle Bot, and they are quite powerful as well. They do a bit of everything. The AI has quite a few tactical missile launchers as well. I do have some tactical missile defense though, but they also have this artillery. So I am attempting to hold the middle again here, but as I said, the AI has basically taken out those two side islands. And that is going to be quite difficult to deal with. Yeah, we'll just speed up the game here a little bit. The AI has a lot of artillery. And one thing I will say about the loud AI, it's really good at building counters to your units. So here you can see it's building a lot of mobile artillery. And that just shelling my army from afar. It's got some gunships as well. So even though I do have the superior force here, I don't have enough to push into his base. I think he's got too many defenses. So I do get on this ridge and take out all the units here, but ultimately I will be forced to retreat. My army just isn't big enough to do another assault on the base yet. So the AI has also taken over the sea as well, which is quite a problem. It has a lot of units in the water, kind of patrolling. It means we can't really use the water as as an approach, or get the metal in the water either. So that's a huge problem. But just looking at the economies, the AI is about on 500 metal apiece, and Gumption and I are on about 250. So it's doubling our mass production. I'm upgrading my commander even further to make it even a more... Oh no, I think I'm actually upgrading my commander to be more of a builder now. I've decided not to use him so much in a combat capacity anymore. I am now using him as a builder. So it said that Yellow had built an experimental somewhere. Oh, a T4 SAM launcher. I think that's what it means. I don't know what it was talking about. Anyway, Yellow is working on this experimental bomber, which basically drops nukes. And Gumption has built his first Fat Boy. The Fat Boy, of course, the rolling battleship. It is a battleship on treads or wheels. So yeah, the game has entered the experimental phase, and that will ultimately change the dynamic of how this is played. But again, I don't quite have enough to push into Green's base, and he now has an experimental bomber, and He can now fly over my army and drop nukes, essentially. I don't have enough air defense here to stop it from happening. He's also got T3 bombers as well. So yeah, here comes the first one. And that's just going to wipe out that entire force there. So, yeah. This first experimental already getting a lot of work done, and it does take out like half my army. That is a huge problem. Just losing so much for free, and I don't have enough air defense to really deal with this. And the problem is that the AI has control of the sky, so I can't really stop it from bombing me like that right now. That's a huge problem. It's a big problem. But the Fat Boy has made it to at least the middle of the map. And I have built a Monkey Lord as well to contribute to the battle. So yellow with another push here on white's base, but Gumption does have some defenses here to hopefully slow that down or stop it. But again, let's speed it up a little bit. As I said, we have a real issue with air right now. We don't have enough to... we just don't have enough air defense to deal with all the threats they have in the sky. And that's going to be a problem. And yellow with another experimental bomb coming in. Right in the middle of my army. That was like a perfect shot. Takes out a huge amount of guys. And I have some air defense here, but it has, I mean, it just has so much health that this ground-based air defense is just not going to cut it. Now the Fat Boy, the rolling battleship, it will be very effective against this T3 mobile artillery. It can outrange it. And so yeah, the Fat Boy is a good counter to that, and I will, I think, take out most of those guys. But yeah, ultimately struggling with air quite a bit. And yeah. Now, one thing that happens here, radar is very important in this mod, because if you can't see what your opponent's doing, so like my opponent's army, let's see if I can ping it, was right here. Oh, that doesn't work. My opponent's army was to the east, but as you can see, I can't really see that. I don't have any radar blips. If I had had a radar with these guys, I would have been able to see that his whole army was just to the east of me. But because I don't see that, I end up losing everything. I'm getting hit with all these artillery shots. And I end up losing the whole army because I stopped paying attention for a second, and I don't know where his army is. So radar is very important and loud. It's important to know like what your opponent's doing. This is what I can see from my perspective, right? So I have a very limited intel on what's happening right now. But let's go back to the observer. Now the Monkey Lord is fast. And with this Monkey Lord and Fat Boy, I should have control of the battlefield, except for air, because we still can't really deal with that too well. I'm going to take this to the front. And with this Fat Boy and Monkey Lord. Oh, here comes the experimental bomber again. More gunships coming in. And the artillery raining here. Shells into my force. I have now built some air, so this air will attack the Awasa, experimental heavy bomber, and I will ultimately take him out. So, one experimental down, but he has his own air, and he quickly sends his fighters to kill mine off. Now, one thing that's really interesting is that Gumption built an experimental AA gunship. So this is a gunship designed to kill air. It's a T4 anti-air unit, and it is absolutely devastating against air. It is so effective. It's kind of hard to see right here, but it is slowly taking out all those fighters on its own, even though it's now at like 1/5 HP. It does do quite a bit of damage, but I decided to get it out of there because it's about to die, so I'm just going to repair it and bring it back into the fray. But as you can see, you know, we're kind of here on the doorstep of the AI's base. We're kind of at the entrance, but we're struggling to make any headway. He's got all these artillery launching endless shells at us. He's got tactical nukes and missile launchers. And this fat boy's shield is now down, and it explodes. I just stopped watching it for 1 second, and it dies. And the Monkey Lord is in the red. So even though, you know, it seemed like I'm close to his base, it's very hard to make headway there. And yeah, that's a problem. The AI now has control of the side islands, as I mentioned. And this Monkey Lord about to die too. So I've built a square shield here, this experimental shield, and now attempting to upgrade my base. I'm going to have white repair this this gunship, and ultimately the game has kind of come to a standstill, though you can see they still have control of the skies right now, and I do have an army here. But as you've seen before, it is difficult to make headway into their base. They're now doing bombing runs on me. This experimental gunship will defend me. But more bombers coming in, and it really is a war of attrition, you know, through a combination of bombing runs, artillery shells, long-range missiles, gunships, and even this battleship contributing from the sea. They do slowly whittle down your forces and make it so hard to engage or to push into their base. It's as you can see, I'm really struggling to make any headway because there's just so much defense and so many threats. Here I have a Wyvern, the experimental artillery platform. And I think this is kind of like a mini fat boy. I'm pushing in again, this combination of Dervish and this Wyvern, and I've got some anti-air now, but as you can see, there's just so much stuff, so many units, that as I try to make headway, they just overwhelm you with artillery and aerial threats, T3 tanks, and even experimentals. So yeah, we are struggling to move forward even with these experimentals. it becomes very difficult to make headway. And at this point, White and I just kind of scratching our head trying to figure out, okay, what do we do here? Like, how do we make headway, or how do we get out of this situation? Because the cool thing about the loud AI, like the thing that's so fun about fighting it, is it doesn't really cheese you most of the time. Like the AI will just slowly overwhelm you with superior force, right? Like very rarely does the AI just kill you in some cheap or unfair way. It will just slowly overwhelm you with like just this endless supply of threats and power. And like I said, it builds counters very well to like what you're doing, so it's very efficient at defeating whatever army that you've built or whatever composition you have. It does a good job of knowing how to counter, but that's not, I mean, it's not cheating, it's just observing what you've created and then designing an army to be a counter to it. So yeah, again, we are struggling to find headway here, find a way to get into the AI's base. Now one thing that's going to be very bad is it is now building T3 heavy artillery installations. And these are like Berthas or Intimidators from TA or BAR. And as you can imagine, just like in those games, these heavy artillery installations are absolutely devastating, especially once the AI gets enough of them, or once a player gets enough of them. So that is going to be quite difficult to deal with. I ideally would want to kill them or destroy their base before they get those online, because that will just make it a million times harder to deal with. But okay, so let's get back into this. Again, really struggling to make any headway at all. And as you can see, these battleships have nuclear capability, so those could build nukes. Neither White or I have any anti-nukes at this moment, so that's kind of bad. And now that they're working on essentially these long-range plasma cannons, that's horrible. But on the bright side, we do have a lot of air defense here, and we finally, I feel like, have the air situation under control. But still struggling to push forward. As you can see, they have a massive army here. A lot of artillery shelling us from afar. And this experimental artillery platform will bite the dust. So we're constantly bringing in new experimentals and units to try to even the fight here. But it's tough, you know, sending those dervishes in. But there's just so much here, and like I said, man, the AI just likes to overwhelm you with threats. It's so that's what makes this so fun to play, because like the AI doesn't really cheese you. It doesn't really like kill you in some dishonorable way or whatever. Like, it just slowly overwhelms you with stuff, and because of that, like, the battles are so fun, because it is a slow war, like whether you're winning or losing, right? It's a slow war of attrition. And, you know, either you're slowly winning or the AI is slowly winning. But the whole mod is designed in such a way that, like, quick victories aren't really possible. It's a marathon. It's like a slog to see, like, and that's what makes it such a great co-op experience, right? Because it's like you and your friends in this huge, massive marathon with the AI, like, slowly, you know, it may not even be as fun to watch, right? But, like, to play, it's a lot of fun because it's like you and all your friends, and you can basically bring as many friends as you want. Against this overwhelming force that will, like, slowly increase its power until it crushes you. And in a way, you're kind of on a timer, right? Because, like, if I had wiped out green earlier, like, let's say I had taken out green's base, like, 30 minutes ago, we would be in a much better position. Like, yellow probably would have taken over a lot of his base, but, like, he would be, without green in this game, we would be so much, like, we'd be in such a better position than we are right now. But I do have these 3 experimentals, the long-range rolling battleships, so that is going to give me an advantage in this ground combat. And now that we've taken care of the air, as you can see, we've got endless patrols of air and anti-air experimentals as well. This does give us potentially a window. Now, the idea is that we push into their base here and get either get here or maybe move left up this approach and attack from the south of the base there with these long-range artillery platforms, the Fat Boys and the Wyverns. But here's the problem. They are now finished with their Berthas, or with long-range plasma cannons. Let's see if I can find it. They have at least one somewhere. And as you can see, that was basically a long-range plasma cannon shot. That was a Bertha shot. Here it is. This is the one. So this thing is now on the field, and its shells can basically reach the whole map. So this is very bad. You can see it. This shell is flying across the entire map now, all the way into my starting base. And the AI, once they build these, will start targeting your mass extractors. Like, he just took out one of my mass extractors. So once they get these long-range plasma cannons, it is horrible, because they will start hitting anything that isn't protected by shields and wiping it out. And so that's just the first one. He's building a second one. It's almost finished. And we'll have to see, is yellow building any long-range plasma cannons? Let's see. He's building a lot of experimentals. A lot of experimental bombers. But yeah, ultimately struggling to make headway here, but we have now cleared out most of the mid, and we can hopefully move forward here. But yeah, now these long-range plasma cannons actually targeting my Fat Boys, which is pretty bad, because each shot will do quite a bit of damage. And yeah, these long-range plasma cannon shells, you can see there's now 2 of them flying across the map all the way to my base, taking out all my metal. That's so devastating, because you know, once it hurts your economy, it can pull even further ahead. with its army. And yeah, again, we need to move forward here with these experimentals, but the constant shelling and air attacks now kind of taking its toll. So this is pretty bad. Now I do have my main base here, working on a megalith, an experimental heavy assault megabot, and I've got a square shield here, which is pretty big. But really, yeah, just struggling to move forward. And one thing I want to show you, if I can. The cool thing about this mod is just the sheer number of experimentals you can build. For each faction, there's so many options, and it's real. That's one of the cool things about it, is like the factories have a ton of units you can build, and you can build. There's so many buildings you can construct. But the amount of experimentals is actually crazy. Like experimental light battle mech, experimental heavy assault roach bot, experimental medium spider bot, experimental heavy assault mech, the megalith, which I'm building, the basilisk, ultra heavy siege mech, mega roach, avalanche. I mean, soul ripper. These are air experimentals. Assault transport. I think this can actually. Oh. I guess this can't pick up experimental, but it can like pick up T3 units. Experimental battleships that you can put in the water. Like, and every faction has a ton of experimentals, and they're all really cool. And pretty well balanced as well. So the mod has just a plethora of options to play with and choose from, and that's one of the things that makes it a lot of fun, is like there's a lot of variety, there's a lot of options, as you know, the player has. But again, they're pushing me back now with all this artillery, and again, these long-range plasma cannons also continuing to put pressure on this base here that Gumption's building, and targeting my experimentals as well. So. And Green now pushing down with another attack of his own. And an experimental bomber coming in as well. So now, as I said before, I do have a lot of air defense. And I think we do end up taking out this experimental bomber before it gets too much accomplished. Let's see here. Yep, we do take that out. And one thing is, I've built this Soul Ripper, the experimental siege assault gunship, and I'll have to keep an eye on that. But I've lost two of my my fat boys basically, and the third one, his shields are down. Getting hit by I think missile ships. It's getting hit by things in the sea here. So the AI doing what it does best and slowly whittling us away. But yeah, now I've got a Soul Ripper here in action, and I think I keep moving it in and out. I just don't want it to die, right? Like it's expensive. Trying to use that effectively. I think I might have it on patrol right there. But this megalith is finished, and this should contribute to the war effort. But again, it's so funny to watch the AI just sending this endless waves of units that make it so hard to push up, and like you have to get to their base somehow, right? Like whether it's with ground units or whether it's with air. Like obviously, I guess you could try to do an aerial assault on their base, or whether it's artillery. Like somehow you have to get to their base. And as you can see, like throughout this game, how difficult it's been for us to make progress. I did kill Green's commander early on, but if I had taken out Green in general, like this would be looking a lot better. But this megalith now in the fray. And here we might get to see the Soul Ripper in action. It is basically an experimental gunship. So we will take out that particular army, but again, things are looking, it's difficult to make any progress. And Gumption working on more Wyverns, more rolling battleships. But as you can see, the AI is taking out a lot of my metal extractors here with those long-range plasma cannons. And doing so as well, I think, on Gumption. Let's see where this lands. No, I think it missed there. I don't know what it was targeting, but it missed. But as you can see, I'm slowly attempting to push forward again with my experimentals. Like, ideally, I'd clear out the middle here, and if I could get into the middle with some of these long range, like fat boys, like long range experimentals, I could start to hit their base. But look at all this artillery, making it nearly impossible to push forward. So difficult to deal with. And the AI is really good at stalling you out long enough to gain an advantage. With these long-range plasma cannons, it is continuing to put pressure on us. Now hitting my my middle base, it looks like that's what they're targeting. So we are making a little bit of progress in the middle, like these experimentals are moving forward. Got a second Fat Boy, Megalith, still got the Soul Ripper in the front. So starting to make some progress in the middle. Got plenty of air defense, I think, so things are looking pretty good here. But this Fat Boy shield is down. And getting hit by long-range plasma cannons. Oh no. Okay, its shield comes back up just in time. That was so close. It's got some experimental bombers as well, but we do have a lot of air defense. And this megalith moving in, so like I am getting to the center here. I am finally taking control of this area that we've been fighting for the whole game. But there comes an experimental bomber. Now a ton of artillery shells raining down on my megalith. Oh my god, just look at this. It's so hard to push. It is so hard. And like now my megalith very low. I am forced to retreat. Like I thought I was making headway there. I thought I could do it, but they pushed me back once again. And again, this game is a grind. This mod is a grind. It will you will go back and forth like this over and over throughout the course of the game. But let's see what else they're doing. They have built a nuke launcher. So that's not good because neither Gumption or I have built any anti-nukes at this point. They've got, let's see, 1, 2 heavy artillery installations here. Let's see, does he have any heavy artillery installation? Yeah, he's got one here, so it's 3. 3 Berthas, at least. There's probably more. I'm working on a second Soul Ripper and a Gumption building long-range plasma cannon of his own. So again, we're kind of at a lull here at this point because both the AI and the human team are struggling to make progress. This megalith is running away, trying desperately to escape, but those long-range plasma cannons are targeting it. And we'll end up killing it before it can make it back to my base. So, guys, as I mentioned, I was waiting for the sound. I'm surprised we didn't hear a warning. But what happened, basically, that I didn't get to see or show you in time is that the AI built that nuke earlier that I showed you. They built that nuke, and we did not have any nuke defense. So it sent a nuke into my middle base here. And that is what you are witnessing at this very moment. Let me slow it down. It has nuked my middle base. Guys, it is important to build nuke defense. I lost about half of my base there to a well-placed nuke, and now that the shields are down, the artillery can just absolutely ravage this base. I quickly, with all these support commanders, begin to throw up nuke defense, strategic missile defense as quickly as possible, because I know that more nukes are probably on the way. So yeah, that was really devastating. Like them having a nuke at the wrong time. Like, I don't know why we didn't build strategic nuke defense. Like, just it's a huge mistake, and ultimately we get massively punished for it. They're losing like half of my middle base and a lot of economy. The shields that were defending this from the artillery are down. So that is a huge blow there. And yeah, like looking at the eco now, yellow is on 1.1k metal per second. Green is on 950. I'm on 657, and Gumption is on 364. But they continue to shell us with this artillery, and I'm desperately trying to throw up some more shields back in the middle. Got these 2 Soul Rippers here in the middle, trying to take out this force. We do still have pretty good control of the sky. That's one thing I wish we had maybe utilized more in this game, was that once we had aerial control, maybe building some more air experimentals than what we had, or building just bombers or whatever would have been pretty good. But the issue is that like the ground attack is it's now hard to attack on the ground because they're just sending waves of artillery. They're using the T3 artillery to just push back any attack. And even though these Soul Rippers are getting a lot accomplished, it's we're in a pretty bad position now. Like it's hard to push. The AI has kind of hit a critical mass of defense and artillery to make it difficult to push into their base now. And once you're at this point as the player, like it's very bad. They're also building nukes, as we've seen. They already nuked my base once. I have built 4 anti-nukes here. So that should hopefully protect that base. But we'll have to see. And let's see, they've got 2 nuke launchers. This nuke launcher has a nuke built. Both of those have a nuke in it. See how many heavy artillery installations? 1, 2. I thought they had more than that over there. The Citadel is a flying fortress. It's specifically good against, it's best against air. It has all these air platforms to allow aircraft to land on it, which is a pretty neat feature, especially if you have a big air force like we do. But I now have built 2 of these Mega Roaches. If anyone played Supreme Commander 2, these are like the Megalith. They're ultra heavy battle roach bot, and they're a lot of fun actually to watch and use. Once they get in range of the enemy, they have these side-mounted pulse lasers. They are absolutely devastating, but again, we've got to keep them moving because just approaching his base with these. Now getting shelled by long-range plasma artillery. And he's sending some bombers. Don't know where he's going with them though. Still got a lot of anti-air, four anti-air experimentals. So that will take those out really quickly. But I believe that Gumption here is building a experimental artillery. So this is a T4 artillery. This is a game ender. This would be like the dictator in escalation. And now I'm going for a counterattack with Mega Roaches and Soul Rippers. Trying to take control of the map again. But yeah, now he's got a Universal Colossus, so he's got his own ground-based experimental. And once I see that, I do decide to try and go and kill it. I think he's trying to run away with it into the sea, but this thing is so tall that actually, when it goes in the water, it's not fully submerged. So I can just kind of chase it down, and I will end up killing that. It doesn't accomplish too much. But yeah, guys, as you can see, the AI now has most of the map. They've got a ton of air now as well, and once you're in this position, it's really hard because we have like these tiny corners of the map to ourselves, but the AI has like the entire map basically. So in a war of attrition, it feels like slowly losing. From this point, it was kind of all on like, all right, this experimental artillery has to win the game, right? Like that has to be so strong that we can like kill the AI from afar with the artillery. That was kind of like what we were banking on, because I don't think we've ever actually built that before. But as you can see, like we're just struggling to hang on. The AI now has naval force at the edge of my base here. Luckily, it is hitting the wall, but another battle for the mid there. But you can kind of see how this mod plays, right? Like you can kind of see that, like, oh, here comes bombing run. Oh, those bombers, absolutely devastating. They almost killed the Mega Roach in one volley there, one swoop. So as you can see, you know, the AI for the most part will just kill you through a war of attrition, through just kind of like slowly outplaying you. Here's another experimental that I just kill from the air, basically. So, like, even though we're still in the game, the AI has such an upper hand, both in terms of resources and production. Now, the Flying Saucer, experimental aircraft carrier. And continuing to shell us with Berthas. And this is important because you see I have 4 strategic missile defenses here. But this relentless aggression with long-range plasma cannons. How many do they have now? Let's look. 1, 2. We've got to have more. There's 2 here. There's a second one. But like, yeah, it's just this relentless pressure. They've got to have like at least 6. And my shields can't really hold anymore. Like, my shields are struggling to like hold against all of that artillery pressure here. Yeah, he's got 3 here, 2 in his base. That's 5 that I can see. And yeah, we're kind of crumbling here. We're really struggling to hang on. Gumption is almost finished with his experimental artillery, and like I said, all our hopes are kind of on that thing to bring us back into the game. But you know, at this point, It's kind of a pipe dream as the AI continues to put pressure on us. These relentless air raids and artillery, and now units moving down through the middle. And as well the sea. They're coming at us from every different direction. Land, sea, air, and artillery, and nukes. And experimental bombers as well. So a battle here in the middle. I do have 2 Mega Roaches, but they have experimental ultra heavy artillery support bot. So I did take out that force, luckily. Okay, he is now finished with the Mavort. But the AI now sees that and is shelling it. The AI has refocused their artillery attacks on the Mavor, and in one shot they took it down to like 2/3 health. And it looks like they might kill it. Also focusing on my base as well with artillery. Just so much pressure with artillery. Taking out everything. The Mavor is also getting low. And we are just crumbling under the weight of this. Now takes out 2 of my strategic missile defenses. Slow it down a little bit here. And the Mavor is still alive, but okay, now sending another nuke. Sending 3 nukes. Alright, so let's slow this down. They're sending 3 nukes. They just took out 2 of my anti-nukes here. So, like, I have 2 nukes in the stockpile. But, that's 3 nukes. Okay? So they sent 1 more nuke than I had anti-nukes for. And they just took out my anti-nukes with artillery. So, like, how smart is it for them to take out my anti-nukes with artillery, and then once they've taken those out, then they launch nukes? Like, here goes the 2 anti-nukes to stop it. Takes out 2 of them, but the 1 is left. And there's nothing left. There's nothing remaining to stop this nuke from just taking out my base. Hang on 1 second. Forgot what's going on with this. Huh. Yep. And there goes my base. There's pretty much everything. So, guys, that was pretty much the game. Early on, we were doing really well. Felt like we might win, but ultimately, I did kill Green's commander early on, and we put some good pressure on them, but like they slowly whittled us down through a war of attrition. That's why this mod is so fun to play with your friends, because you will kind of, in this long grindy game, either come out on top or succumb to the pressure. But guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That mod is a ton of fun. Ultimately, we lost that time, but we are going to attempt a rematch and attempt to beat the AI again. But ultimately, we do lose there. I hope you enjoyed this AI-focused TA, and yeah, guys, check it out. I will post a link to the mod and the Discord for the mod if you ever feel like playing it. And thank you for watching.